if they missed it or anything, and then they'll be posted on our YouTube channel. So thank you, Mason. I appreciate you. So you are attending the Bridging Research and Practice Conference. My name is Jessica. I'm here with Cher. I will be handling the technical side of things. If you have any questions for me regarding any of the tech stuff, you can direct chat me in the chat. Today's session is Recovery International. So that is going to be, let's see. All right, so Recovery, it's a self-help support group, RI is, and it's a self-help support group that uses cognitive behavioral principles to help people overcome mental health symptoms, including depression, anxiety, anger, mania, delusions, panic attacks, phobias, fears, and mood disorders. This presentation will demonstrate the Recovery International method and show how to get started using it. So today we have two presenters. The first one will be Stephan, and the next one will be Jean. They both have asked that everyone hold their questions for after their presentation, so we can take questions in the chat. If you know how to use the raise hand function, you can also raise your hand at the end of both of their presentations. And if everyone can just keep themselves muted while they're presenting, that way we can all hear them clearly. And at the end of the presentation, we're going to have we want everyone to do kind of an evaluation of all of these sessions. So I see a lot of people are already sharing their name and organization in the chat. If you can also share your emails in there whenever you get a chance, that would be super helpful. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and pass the torch to Stephan.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start sharing the screen. Where's it? Share screen. Share screen. Okay, hold a second. It's not the right screen. Go this over here. So this one, share. Okay. Where can, I get, so can everybody see my screen? Anybody can see? Okay. So this is the website here. Let me see here. So I got things bookmarked. So basically the readings are from this book from Dr. Loeb. I show it in my thing here. And this group is as old as the 12-step group. It's like 70 years old, and it has prevailed that long, but it's significantly different from 12-step. As Jessica said, it's about cognitive behavioral self-therapy, where we do a reading first from this book, Mental Health Through Will Training, which I put up on the screen. And so as you can see, this was is from the 50s. And there is a terminology which is being used, which was in the early stages of cognitive behavioral therapy. And basically it says the book is called Mental Health Through Will Training, which means you're supposed to train yourself through spots and exercises to control, manage your anger and manage your fears. So those are some of the spots here you can see. You're supposed to, which are affirmations in other group, treat your mental health as a business, not as a game, and be, to feel uncomfortable is not dangerous. Those are one of the main spots you tell yourself when you get into temper. And the basic concepts are here basically that you have two types of temper. You have angry temper and fearful temper. And again, this is lingo from the 50s, from the 30s. Dr. Lowe was a psychiatrist at the University of Illinois in Chicago, and he led those groups when there were no medications, and a lot of things had to do with cognitive behavioral self-therapy. So he differentiates between, feeling bad and temper. And temper is basically when your horses are going through and you have either angry temper or fearful temper, which nowadays could be depression, or which is fearful temper that you're wrong, or angry temper, you get angry and you might, even go violent because you're so angry. That's when your horses go through, and so you spot this and you recognize it and you talk yourself down. And the meetings are structured that we first go to this book, we take a chapter, and for example, and the readings are passed around. So here's mental health surveil training. So here's Dr. Lowe, very quick. In the 50s, he died 1955, and credit to the meeting. This meeting survived until now, and he started those groups. And again, there you have a chapter. The will says yes or no. So we read this chapter. Everybody reads a paragraph. Then after that, we discuss that chapter. Then I do an introduction. Everybody introduces himself, how long they're in recovery, and if they have an example. Now we go to the second part of the meeting very quick. Then we have the example, how a sample should be constructed. Just a second here. My thing is a little bit blocked. Here, this is how an example is constructed. Basically, it takes two people, one leads it, and the other one has an example. And let me make it bigger. Basically, in step one, the one person asks the other person, what is your problem? When did you work yourself up? And there might be a simple thing like, I'm getting irritated because my presentation is not working as well. And I can go two ways. I can go either panic and lose it, or I can start spotting I have a problem and talk myself down. That is in step two, right? Then you ask what is for a panic situation. You might say, oh, I'm palpitation, I'm sweating, I can think straight, and then you spot your panicky or angry temper. I might be angry at the technology, and and you use the recovery tools, which are basically the spots. Where was it here? Those are the
Stephan,
spots.
Stephan, let me spot for you. Let me give you a couple of spots. Technology does things to irritate it. I mean, not to irritate us,
Right,
but
exactly.
it is irritating. This helpless feeling that you're feeling is not a hopelessness, that you can decide, plan, and act to continue with your presentation and endorse yourself for all your physical, your discomfort that you're tolerating so that you can present. And you can do things in part acts. So that's some of the spotting that Stephan would do to get himself through an uncomfortable situation. He's an average nervous person. He's going to do an average good job of this presentation, And he can endorse himself for that and stop those indicting, angry thoughts at himself, the fearful thoughts that he's less than average. He's an average person. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you very much. Let me just get this menu out of the way. So thank you for Jean to say this. And then we're going back to the format, which was right here. Where's my format again? Oh, okay, then now let's be calm here and go back to covering meeting. And down here are the tools. And we were completing this example, which was how an example should be constructed. So now I would say now in step 4, my lead would say now, then in step 3, I do my own spots. And in step 4, I take part of it that you endorse yourself after you, now I caught myself. So you say before, I would have frozen up and this whole, I would have been cussing and stuff like that. But now I captured myself and I'm okay. And I endorse I pat myself on the shoulder. That's very important. I say,
Yes, we don't look to the outer environment to endorse us. Stephan knows before he had his recovery training how he would have responded. His mind would have gotten away with himself. He would have felt very uncomfortable. But now with his mental health training and making a business of his mental health, he now has better self-control and better self-esteem.
Okay, and then now this whole thing gets open to the group, and everybody can, like for example, Jean did do her spots, and I be in the box. So I would put this basic tools on the screen, and everybody can see what they would spot out of the list. And if you look here, you have the quotes are like here out of the books we have, which is Mental Health Through Will Training, or the other book we have is Manage Your Anger is Your Fears, which is the second book. And that book actually is a compilation of radio broadcast he had in the late 30s. And they are just recordings which are, they had them weekly on the radio. It was the radio time, not TV time. So, and then we go to the next example. And I'm almost done here now. So when we go to the next example, so everybody gets a sample, a time to present their things where they work them up. One caveat, we really cannot talk about big problems like somebody died in your family or stuff like that. We only talk about little things which worked us up. What triggered us to get upset? Now, somebody might have died. You might go to a funeral and somebody makes a nasty comment, and that's when you work yourself up. But we cannot really talk about the major life events, you know. So then we go through all the examples, and then after that we have sometimes the big 5. I skip those, which is basically where we analyze if somebody sabotages. I recommend you to go to the website. Okay, just on time, so I want to be done. So then we have a time for open sharing. So if you hold your courses, you can share anything in the group, then at the open sharing. And at the open sharing, I usually ask also for donations to Share and Recovery International. And I have the websites up. And then we close the meeting. And now I'm open to any questions. And then Jean is going to take her presentation.
Yes, I can go ahead and enhance some of the things that Stephan has said and kind of fill it out a little bit. Does anybody have any questions right now? Do you think I should present first and then see if that answers any of the questions that people have?
Yeah, if no one has any questions for Stephan right now, or you have one later on, you can ask them after Jean's presentation if you'd like to go ahead and present, Jean.
I would.
Do you want me to, Jean, do you want me to kind of put up some screens at the same time when you talk about things or not?
You know, the only put the one up that you had about temper.
Okay, the basic concepts.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
That
My name is Jean, and I've been in recovery since I was 27. And the reason that I came to recovery was that I'm an RN. I was being fired from jobs. I was upset all the time. I was angry at the world, and I had very low self-esteem, and I didn't have any friends. Recovery taught me the concepts of what we call cognitive behavioral training. We're peers in this group. Stephan and I are peers. We come from a nervous background. Now, Dr. Lowe was a neuropsychiatrist, and he found that when he would send people home from the hospital, they would go back to their environment, and they would not have a sense of support and to apply the things that they had, the health that they had received in the hospital to maintain their health. So Dr. Lowe divides any event, and as Stephan said, we work on trivialities because what we're doing is we're strengthening our nerve resistance for the bigger things. And also, like what Stephan said, we don't talk about big things, but even big things like a death have little trivialities within them that we must face and deal with. And so we learn that there's trivialities in everything. We learn that language is very glib. It's very, if I say depression, you say depression, sometimes it's a completely different word. So Dr. Lowe and recovery realized that the language that we use to describe what's happening to us can either give us, work us up in our minds so that we might be upset for the entire day, calling up friends, not attending to the things that are our responsibilities, not taking our medications the way we should, or we can learn through practice to work things down. We learn in recovery that there's 4 parts of every event. And I think that the one thing that I learned the most in recovery was my physical discomfort. Psychiatry often tells you, or psychologists, oh, when you're doing the right thing, you're going to feel good about it. But that's not really true. Sometimes when we are controlling our impulses, we feel really awful inside. We get confusion, we get a tenseness. So there's 4 parts to an event. There is your feelings, there are your thoughts, there are your impulses and your bodily sensations. And we learn that there's only 2 parts of that we can control. You can learn to control your thoughts. A lot of our feelings are based on insecure thoughts. They can be changed to secure thoughts with practice. And you can control your impulses. The hardest impulse that I have to control is my speech muscles. I want to talk all the time. But when I do control my speech muscles, I endorse myself. A lot of people do look to the outer environment to make them feel better about how they're acting or how they're being, but we learn to endorse ourselves. Like Stephan said, our meetings are very structured. Most people have their therapists. They can analyze their past with their therapist or their friends. With recovery tenants, we learn to how to act now, so that one measure of self-control, it brings up another measure of self-esteem. So our meetings, like Stephan said, we do a reading from Dr. Lowe's book that he wrote. It's very archaic. It's really, it talks about trolleys and all sorts of things. And then we go to the example portion, like Stephan said, where we give examples of how we use the method in the past week, maybe, or even this morning, you know. And then after we say what we did, how we talk, like Stephan said, talk ourselves down, then we have to be quiet. And the panel, the rest of the people that have had some recovery experience, they say what they saw in how we made a business of our mental health, and we work the method. We always work on endorsement. We try to stop our indicting minds. Frequently, often we will say that, I say, you know, if Homeland Security heard the way I spoke to myself, they would put me in a witness protection program. I'm so hard on myself all the time. But we are average nervous people, and we learn to control our thoughts, which in fact helps us control our feelings. After we have that session where we give examples, our meetings are usually an hour and a half. Then we do open it up. Stephan said we talk pretty much about anything, but in reality, we do still have limitations on what we allow, because most nervous people, or people that have when I first came to recovery, it said it's for former mental patients and with people with nervous chronicity. Some of us were very severely ill, and some of us just did the same dumb things whenever we were nervous. So there are certain things that we don't talk about, even in mutual aid. Now,
Yeah, I think it's a good presentation, and I try to illustrate things. Do you think we should open it to questions now?
yes. Thank you.
Any questions?
Who has questions for us? Can't be that.
I think
We were that
give
clear.
nobody questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And so just a little bit more, I appreciated the terms that you had and the definitions for them. For example, you use average. And when I hear that, when you say average person, it feels like lowering them into a status. I mean, that's my initial
Yeah. Can I say something about that?
thought about that.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
because we really are exceptional. We are exceptional to our family, to our loved ones. We have a lot of exceptional parts of us. But when it comes to our mental health, we are average people. I'm not put upon any more than you are in this world. The world is not putting any more upon me. I might have a weak nervous system that needs to be strengthened, and my self-esteem might need to be strengthened, but that's average. That's what we mean by that. And the symptoms, when I have confusion in my brain or palpitations, I'm average. Stephan.
Okay, Michelle, the way you can think about it too, it's like, I think it was Seneca, it's Stoicism, or Mark Aurelius. Basically, you tell yourself, yeah, it's not meant as a judgment, it's just saying, okay, I have a pain. A lot of people have pain. It's, you know, it's average. It's not catastrophizing about it, but to plan, act, and decide, and train yourself to get over the initial startle. I mean, if you get somebody says something nasty to you, somebody cuts you off in the traffic, he could have had an accident, but you know, to get over the initial startle and talk yourself down so you are not in temper where you have the knee-jerk reaction. That's part of it. And I really encourage you to look at the website and study it. And there is so much in the website. You can find meetings. There's an example, what we call the mutual aid is informal discussion. That's when it's open. The spottings, there are samples of spots there. And there are also online more spots online where people compiled them by situation what bothers you, like to be a realist. When you have angry temper directed towards other, where you're very uncomfortable, you know, if you make a mistake, you know, you just tell yourself, for example, according to the spots out of the book, mistakes are average. Everybody makes mistakes. Or whatever, mistakes are necessary to learn. You learn to spot this right away instead of getting so upset that you might not sleep all night, and, you know, train yourself through cognitive behavioral self-therapy to become kind of stoic about it. We like to be, you know, to choose peace over power. You don't have to be right, you know. You realize for yourself you're right, but maybe you're blind to the other side of the story. That is one of the spots you could apply.
And the other thing is that, you know, we are not doormats. We don't learn to just stuff things. We do learn to express our feelings without temper. A lot of times, some of the tempers that we have against the world is that we should never have to suffer someone saying something to us, or there's something about us that makes people treat us a certain way. And these are fearful and angry tempers that I'm not sure if you've ever had a bad day, when at the end of the bad day, you didn't do a darn thing that you were supposed to do. And so then the day is even worse. And so what we learn to do is, it's average to have a tough day, but we do the things that we fear to do or that we don't want to do, so that we can endorse ourselves. And then at the end of the bad day, we still kind of have a bad day, but it hasn't affected our lives. We haven't gone out and gotten drunk. We haven't run out and left the children. You know, we haven't overeaten. We haven't yelled at everybody. We haven't called up all of our friends and said, oh, poor me. You know, we went to school the way we were supposed to. I kept my mouth shut the way I was supposed to. And so I could endorse myself for that. Some of the angry temper kinds of words are when we have resentment, impatient, indignation, disgust, or hatred towards another person. Fearful temper is like discouragement, preoccupation, embarrassment, worry, hopelessness, despair, sense of shame, and feelings of inadequacy.
I think, thank you, Jean. I think Kathy has a question. She's got her hand up.
Oh, hi, Kathy.
Hi, Jean. I want to thank you both for the presentation. I knew very little about Recovery International. This was very interesting. I'm very steeped in 12-step work, And what I find is that in different 12-step meetings, they each have their own sort of personality, differences in the way that the meetings run and so forth. So the way you presented this, it seems very standard. And I'm just wondering about if we go to RI meetings in different places, are they going to have sort of their own flavor and differences in the
Yes,
way
they
actually operate?
they will have their flavor. All the leaders, like I believe Stefan's probably a leader. I'm an assistant leader. We have our we are just peers. There's no professionals. They're just like AA. In fact, we work very well with AA. But sometimes some leaders are a little bit more free with what they allow, but the structure, the reading, the examples, the open spotting, and then the mutual aid is very standard. And I want to take just a second to have shout out to Share, because it is Share Self-Help that allows us in California to use their Zoom. And it's wonderful. And I really want to thank you all a lot for that. We try to donate when we can, but
Okay,
Stephan.
I just put up the list from Share. You can go on the Share website, and there are meetings by day. But where I went there, where I came from is on the front page, there's a special line just for Recovery International. Then you see all the meetings which are going on at Share for international. On the other, you also can go to the RI website and you can join Zoom meetings nationally. They also have a list of Zoom leaders. Let me see if I can go there. So if you go to the RI, so you click here under meetings, find a meeting, and then it will help you further there. So there you have the meeting types, and you can see the whole United States where there are meetings. And
We also have meetings in India and in Ireland.
in India and Ireland. And yeah, and so it's not unusual then in those Zoom meetings. In my Zoom meeting, we have, it's co-led by somebody from New York, and it's still in a certain room on Saturday. I think it's.
We have two more questions.
Okay,
Kathy Cordova, I believe. And-
That was me. So we're just-
Okay, thanks. Rosie?
Hello, Jean. Thank you. My name is Rosie Tellez, and I just wanted to share that I became familiar with Recovery International early in my recovery when I was in crossroads in my life, where I knew that the support group I was attending was I was no longer gaining out of. So I found Recovery International to be like my little treasure chest of tools that I could actually work with and implement in my life that can really help me move forward. I was an individual who was very much led by fear, full temper. Everything was looked inside. I was a type of person that I would gravitate to all the energies in the room. So it really froze me as a person. And having to navigate adverse childhood, experiences, it was just such a toolbox for me, such a complement to 12 steps and such a complement to other things. The one thing that drew me to Recovery International, and I wanted to share this with everyone, was it's non-sectarian. At the time, I was not ready to be open to, as we talk about in 12 steps, a higher power. So, it was neutral ground for me to introduce myself to wellness tools. And that really opened up the door to all the great supports that I've obtained through Share and the many other, leaders in other groups and other supports and self-helps. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my story of how I got introduced to it, and it was beneficial to me. I was able to obtain the tools, get really involved with Recovery International, introduce this to the Spanish community, and then therefore went on to employment, something I didn't think that was possible at the time. So thank you for allowing me to
Isn't
share.
that-
And
Endorse
Thank
yourself. My goodness, that's great. And you know, we have 2 Facebook pages and I am part of, I see Puerto Rico recovery. I just remembered that. You know, I get their Facebook page.
Yeah, and then now is a kind of a challenge to have Zoom and hybrid meetings. So I'm just experimenting right now, having a Zoom meeting once a month. Sometimes you get more out of face-to-face, but it's also harder to sustain. And for right now, a lot of people suspended the hybrid part. I suspended it on February 4th, and February 4th, I'm going to try to do another meeting at Share Hybrid.
And where are you located, Stephan?
I'm in West LA.
Oh, okay. So you'll go down to Culver City.
I go to the Culver City, and I do have a list of people. I try to, and I'm going to try to call them this time if anybody comes. If nobody comes, I'm just going to have Zoom only. But I'm preparing for February 4th, and I suspended the hybrid for Omicron. But sometimes, like my personal experience, I have Zoom meetings with my doctors, and sometimes it's very essential to do a face-to-face. There is some stuff you don't get out. So I think if people are local and they do the Zoom meeting and then they can come to a hybrid meeting once in a while, it creates more connection, maybe.
Laura, do you have a question?
No,
I'm on
yeah.
Zoom every day, but I couldn't unmute there. I live in Connecticut and I just Googled it and we have no meetings in my state. So can I access this online regularly or is it?
Oh yeah, Zoom. Most of them are Zoom.
Okay,
That's the one fun thing about Zoom. We've had a lot of people from Canada up in the Ontario area.
I've had a lot of local Zoom meetings, but now they're all fading away because people are going back to face-to-face. So I didn't know if you guys were going to do the same.
Well, I'm the leader of a every Monday at 5 o'clock Pacific time. And that's a pretty fun meeting. And then I'm trying to get started like Stephan. I'm downtown LA Share and trying to do a hybrid.
Okay. For example,
yeah.
there is if you go onto the Share website, those are all the local meetings you can attend from everywhere in the United States by Zoom.
And these are active links. You just click if you're on your computer, those work.
Do you know how? Do you have the Share website?
Oh, yeah, I'll go look at it. I haven't heard of any of these things until now, and I'm really excited about it.
Isn't it exciting?
The other way is you can go to Chicago to Recovery International, the website, which is RI International. And oh boy, now I kind of lost it, but
That's okay.
Well, it's up here in the top, recoveryinternational.org.
Yeah, recoveryinternational.org. So
Thank you, guys.
I know they're back there because I talk to people back east and they always try to get me to come to their meetings and I always promise I'm going to come and then I never get there.
I won't give up hope, but I went to the Recovery International site and then I just plain Googled Recovery International Connecticut and both said no results. But hey, maybe if I get experienced, I'll start one.
So listen, if it's 11 o'clock here, what time is it there? Tell me your time right now.
11, 12, 1, 2. I have to wear my finger.
Well, it's 2 o'clock, so it's 3 hours difference. So our 5 o'clock meeting on Monday would be 8 o'clock.
Which would be good because I'd be back from work.
Yeah, 1:30 meeting. I'm trying to get the downtown LA people. It's not working yet, but I'm not giving up. It's 1:30 to 4:30 your time. So, but there's a lot out there. I mean, just, and you can really endorse
Okay.
yourself for making it.
Here on the Recovery International website, you have a tab, find a meeting. And then if you go here, you can see the Zoom Mac to find a meeting. And then you could go into Connecticut. And this is another way to find meetings where you
You are really good with that computer.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can go on this website, RI International. Don't Google it, just go through the website and
Or just come to California. What the heck?
Yeah, you can go to California too, but
Your weather is so much better.
Oh, but Connecticut has the history.
but we have the earth shake here once in a while. Hasn't happened really seriously for 30 years, but so anyway.
Let's see, are there more questions here on the chat? I really appreciated what the young lady said about how it helped her, because I think we really do get a lot of our therapists and things kind of help us analyze the past and why we are the way we are. But this really helped me in what she said about other people's energy. If you really think about how much we are always judging right and wrong, this is right, this is wrong, I did this, if I do this, then nothing bad will happen, or just the fear, like the fear of what can happen in life. I see a hand there. Caroline.
Yes, Carolina. Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. And I hope I don't confuse anybody, but I'm myself confused. Is our organization is going to be doing a group facilitation training from RI International. This is not to be confused with Recovery International that you're presenting, correct?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're called Recovery International.
Yeah.
And we sometimes call ourselves RI.
Yeah, I just went to the website. I think you go to the website and find out if this is associated with it. And you will find out right away if you go to this meeting, if it's forming the same. I find the Recovery International name a little bit too encompassing. It doesn't really, it's the one where it has the website says RI, that's
Yes.
Recovery International.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is two different, it's two different ones. I just wanted to make sure and hear myself say that, because I did look at the two websites and they are different. So
And
thank
we
you.
also have now two organizations which sponsor us, which is one of them is Share, and one of them is Recovery International, similar like Share is covering Alcoholic Anonymous. So there are two websites associated with that. And our master website, it was just recently updated. They're doing a great job in Chicago. I really recommend you, if you want to find out more, go to this website and go through all the
Thank you.
things. Okay. I guess we have 5 more minutes, or is that it?
How can I describe RI to peers or
Sure, go ahead.
understand your benefits? That's a good question. I think if I was, we just say that it is a Recovery International. It's a self-help, peer-led group for people that have some of the things that they were talking about on here. Yeah, I thought that they had said that really nicely. And now, of course, I'm going to find it and I'm going to tell you it. Oh, I erased it. It's for people with depression, for people with anxiety, with people with poor impulse control, panic attacks, agoraphobia. And the benefits are they learn to have a peaceful existence and to strengthen their nervous system, their nervous, their nervous system, so that they can function in a manner that increases their self-esteem.
And I just found a definition I never seen again. The group was originally called the Association of Nervous and Former Mental Patients.
Yeah, when I first went to recovery, that's exactly what it said. It said this was a group for for former mental patients and were people with nervous chronicity, which meant every time I got in a group and I was nervous, I would do the same thing, which was be rude, mean, those things.
Okay, there's an interesting history about this on the website. You can see about the history, but the proof in the pudding is this thing is going on since 1937. And we are 2022, and it's as sustained as the 12-step groups.
And it works well with 12-step groups.
Yeah. And
See, here it says here, cognitive behavioral peer-to-peer self-help training. We just train, particularly thoughts can be very indicting. They can stop you from doing, or they can be endorsing and help you to do things that you need to do, and bear the discomfort that one feels when they're doing things that make them afraid. Standing in a long line, I was standing in a line in the grocery store the other day, and the clerk said he was going to go and find something for me. And I immediately started working myself up. I thought of all those people behind me. I thought, and my fearful temper, I shouldn't have allowed him to go and find that for me. All those people behind me are going to be angry. I don't know what they're thinking, but this is the way a nervous person acts and thinks. And so I just controlled my speech muscles. I controlled my eye muscles. I didn't look at anybody. I told myself my imagination was on fire. He came back. I got my meat. The people behind me didn't say anything. I was on my way home. I endorsed myself. I cooked dinner, la, la, la. In former days, I would have turned to those other people. I would have said, I'm so sorry. I should never ask him to go and do that. I didn't ask him, he did. And then if a person dared to get angry at me, then that would be my opportunity to get angry at them. I didn't do any of that behavior. I controlled my impulses. I changed my thoughts, my mental thoughts. And I did that because I've been training myself for that very day.
I appreciated your example. So to share that, like when in line, and so, or when waiting and asking for the salesperson to go, or grocery staff to go look, pick that thing out for you, and that those thoughts that occur. And I was also thinking intrusive as well as what you call, and the other word that you mentioned. And then I definitely appreciate having the list that you had with where it shows sabotage. It says trivialities, self-endorsement, average, and it gives a definition for some of your language that you're speaking when you say endorse yourself. I now realize that's self-praise. And so I have familiar with RI, with SHARE and their peer advanced training. So I appreciate the introduction to this, and I find it very beneficial to share with other peers where I'm at in Santa Barbara. And
my favorite town. You might even just want to go to a couple of meetings, even if you don't feel like you need it for yourself, just so that you can get a feel for how it all works out. And all of those different lists are downloadable from the recoveryinternational.org site for yourself. I would do it, but I don't know how. I'm terrible, but.
Yeah, there also, one thing we didn't talk about was the big fives, where the group goes through, and some meetings omits it. Where was the sabotage? Where was self-sabotage? Where was angry feelings? Where was, and I'm trying to look for this.
Yeah, I have it right here. It's actually just a summary of the most important aspects of each example. And I really like it because I like the language that it uses, because it makes it more familiar to what people really do feel, such as when you have fearful temper against yourself, it's a sense of discouragement, preoccupation, embarrassment, worry, hopelessness, despair, sense of shame, feelings of inadequacy directed against oneself, and
Let me pull it up there. It's under meeting materials on the Recovery International site. But I'm losing the.
and after a while you get to realize that you're always, myself, I'm always having angry or fearful temper, always. Almost every single minute. If I'm doing the dishes, I should be playing with the dogs. If I'm playing with the dogs, I should be making the bed, and we have all these shoulds, and you just learn to be average.
Okay, here are the big fives, which we put where we kind of review. And the interesting is to analyze, and that's kind of touchy. Where's the sabotage? Sabotage, he defines when you're not following his methods. And he claims, the authority of a psychiatrist. Dr. Lowe was a licensed psychiatrist. Interesting, he came from Vienna. So if you listen to his radio tapes, you can hear his German accent. But I think he came all the way from Poland. He actually studied overlapping with big Vienna students, Sigmund Freud, not that he adapted his method, and Carl Jung. He's just, Carl Jung died later than him, and he still was a student from Sigmund Freud. So, for example, he tells his patients sometimes as a doctor, you're not listening to me, you're sabotaging yourself. He has an expression, he calls it butt knocker. You're using a butt knocker. You say, I agree with you, doctor, but. So it's kind of hard to swallow sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, when you read his readings, and especially if you have new people in the group, and he's getting real fierce, and it's like, whoa, gosh.
Yeah, and
sabotage is when we're not doing what's best for our mental health.
And then
keeping our mental health is a business and not a game, and we learn to practice. What are we out of time now?
Well, I just said we had 10 more minutes, but now we have maybe 5 more minutes. Jessica, don't we need to prepare for the next meeting? Are there any more questions? Can we close this?
I think we're all go to lunch at 11:30, and the conference starts again at 12:30. So the next session will be at 12:30.
Okay, last call for questions.
There you go.
I can keep talking. I could talk forever. I already told you that.
Yeah, I noticed another person that is in a recovery learning center that is talking about bringing RI to their county. And so something like this, bringing to our counties, like I'm in Santa Barbara County, to our recovery learning center, how we can start that in what are the requirements and to start an RI group, self-help group.
Well, we could probably, did you see my email in there? I can put it in here again to all. I don't know how to do this.
Well, you
And
should,
then maybe we could do a outreach panel example for your group, and then we can get you connected with our area leader.
her name is Celinda. And also, yeah, Jean, if you could bridge that person. I also should register at the Recovery International website, become a member. And they also have training, and we have local training. And but I think in the beginning, I just would join a couple Zoom meetings, and you can piggyback onto some other Zoom meetings and recommend them. But if you want to become a lead, there are training seminars, and our leader has also Zoom meetings about problems. If you want to go under LA, but you have to also go through the Recovery International website in Chicago.
Linda can help you with all of that, but Michelle, what is the name of your group again in Santa Barbara?
I'm a peer specialist and also it's also named Recovery Wellness Coach. And so I could see some benefits as a peer to other peers that are members there that may find this as a toolbox, like it was mentioned by the other ladies, is and then we may be able to have sort of like a hybrid situation, so in person and on Zoom, or things of that sort. So it would be sharing this as a self-help group there at the Santa Barbara Mental Wellness Center Fellowship Club.
And the Chicago sells those books. There's a PDF online you can get for free because it's from 1937. It's out of print. And you can Google it. It was published by the Baha'i Bookstore, and you can contact me. I can send you the link. Let me see if I can put the link in so people have like a basics, but there is some confusion then about the page numbering and the chapter numbering because it's different from the hard copy book, and it also comes in a paper copy book, which has the same pages.
Let me clarify something for Crystal. Crystal, I see your chat, and that's really a great message here. The thing about the group being able to also add spots, when we do that, we try to spot, like if somebody was going to spot on my example that I just gave, they would do it in the third person. They won't talk to me directly. They'll say, Jean did the thing that she feared to do, because I can accept or reject it, because we are all just, we are peers. So I think it's time for us to close.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I just want to say thank you, Jean and Stephan, both. You guys have been wonderful. RI is a really big tool. We use it a lot at Share. So
well, thank you, Share. Thank you very much.
So thanks for giving such an informational presentation on it, because I myself was confused about RI at first because all my experiences in substance use. So that was super helpful. So I think the next session for this room that everyone is in is going to be at 12:30. Everyone's taking a lunch from 11:30 to 12:30, or now until 12:30. The next session in this room will be, what is it? I'm so sorry. It'll be Miracle on Market, the Healing Place. So a speaker named Jay will be sharing about his organization. He's based out of Kentucky. He's a really great guy. So I'm also going to share the link for our schedule. So if you guys decide you want to attend another session, maybe in another room, you can just go to our website and the schedule's posted on there. And you can click on any of the links, so it's easy to access via Zoom. If you haven't put your email in the chat, please remember to do so we can send everyone an evaluation. And yeah, thank you all for coming.